Hey, it's another episode with Richie Kondawal from PriceLabs. And if you are not already a user of PriceLabs, make sure to go to thefearlessinvestors.co/PriceLabs because you're going to get a free 30-day trial and onboarding training with Richie and his team. And I've been using PriceLabs for going on 4 years now. It's completely changed the way that we do our pricing. It's saved me time. It has made me more money. It's done all the things. It's a must in your business. Probably when it comes down to it, I talk about a lot of things that you can use. PriceLabs is a must to use. And I would absolutely say that about PriceLabs over just about any other thing or software in the industry. But today with Richie, we're talking about how to compare your listing to competitors on PriceLabs. Make sure you check out the other video that we did in regards to getting set with your settings, making sure that you're not throwing up any walls to get bookings. But today, Richie, let's talk about how to compare your listings to competitors on PriceLabs. Thanks for joining us, man.
Alrighty. As always, really excited to be here, Kyle. Thank you so much for having me. Today, like Kyle said, we're going to talk about how to compare against competitors, right? Yeah, I mean, both of the kind of the same, compare and competitors. But what we're going to quickly review is a couple of things. And Kyle, if can I bring up my screen here? Thank you so much. Yeah. So we're going to review. There's a section in PriceLabs called neighborhood data, right? And hopefully, many of you have already been aware of it or are seeing it or have seen it in the past, right? I just want to quickly bring this up, right? There is the future prices graph in PriceLabs in the neighborhood data, where you can very quickly see a bird's eye view of how you're priced compared to the market. And so what you see here on the graph, the black line is your price, and then you have a gray line, a dark pink, and a lighter pink. The gray is 25th to 50th percentile of the market. The pink is 50th to 75th percentile, and then 75th to 90th percentile. When I say percentile, what I mean is on any given day, if I had 100 properties and if I stack ranked them, every single one of them on price, right? Where the 25th rank from bottom would be, where the 50th rank from the bottom would be 75th, and so on and so forth, right?
Yep.
What this quickly allows you to do and understand is how you're priced, right? I'm going to also hop into product back and forth. I'm going to show you a couple of slides and then hop into the product today. But what you'd see quickly on this slide itself is somewhere around that July 4th mark. If you see that 1st of July line going up, you see a peak shooting up, and you see that's our opportunity. So we're trying to increase prices there, right? But then if you see like past that September into that November, right, you see the line really in that gray color, because we are lowering our prices, and because the market may not be as hot, and we want to be in a situation where we want to get a booking at a cheaper rate, but get more demand and occupancy, then only think about higher prices, right? But what this does is gives you a quick bird's eye view of where am I priced throughout my year. And you really start to see that value of dynamic pricing, where certain dates are priced high, certain dates are priced low, etc., right? The next one, again, we'll hop into the product, but what you'd see just below this futures prices graph is an occupancy graph, right? The occupancy graph is a little bit involved, and so I'm really going to talk about it from the perspective of when we hop into the product, right? But it very quickly shows you how well you're booked. So on this graph, if you see those gray colored bars, that's where you're booked, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
then the red line where the market is today, the dotted line where the final occupancy was last year. And we're going to dive into as we get into the product, right? But this helps you very quickly understand how occupied the market is. And sometimes you may feel like, oh, this is a very high demand day. Why are the prices not increasing, or why are the prices not that high, or this is no name day, why are the prices so high? And this graph essentially holds all the keys to that question, right? Really answering, if the market's really getting booked, we need to increase prices. If the market's not getting booked, we of course need to temper our expectations. From there, we also show you a very quick view of all the competitors that we are tracking, particularly to help you pick for that dynamic pricing, right? And you can very quickly see all the listings in your neighborhood along with their average rates for the next 360 days, right? And it's a super cool way to very easily see what listings are priced where, and like you can see briefly from this graph, although Airbnb does not give very precise locations for each property, but you can see like the red color properties are more towards the coast and green is more inland, which is very natural. And on the right hand side, you see that price where green is more around 150 and that red is more around 550. And so you'd expect more closer to the coast, it's higher priced versus inland, it's a little bit lower priced, right? But what do you do with this competitor map? You can then pull this into your a product that we have called competitor calendar, not a product feature that we have called competitor calendar. And what you can do here is pull these some of the listings that you want to track. And I think a lot of people call this the enemy method. And so you can very easily see how some of your peers and how some of your competitors are priced for certain dates in comparison to your property. And so you can see if you're on the right track, if there's something that needs to be changed, etc. So with that, Kyle, any thoughts while I switch over my screens and hop into the product?
Yeah. So while you're getting to the product, I think one of the things that I'd like to see is just an efficient way to bring up that competitor calendar. It sounds to me like you said that you can actually pull some of those ones when it was the colored dot map. I'd love to see that, because I think that's one of the things that I struggle with the most, is knowing which competitor to choose when it comes to adding it to that calendar. Um, Without actually going to the listing itself. And, because again, like if I have a place that deserves to be in the 75th to 90th percentile, but I'm clicking on a property that is in the 25th to 50th percentile, it's not really a good competitor, right? So I'd love
Yeah.
to know that.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll try to address that. I don't know if I have all the answers for you, Kyle, but
Mhm.
we'll try to address that, right? So here I'm inside the product. If you use PriceLabs, I'm on the screen. Typically, you'd be most familiar with the calendar view, because that's where you end up. Right,
Mhm.
right next to the calendar view is neighborhood data, and pro tip, there is also hotel data where you can see hotel prices. But we're going to get into neighborhood data. And we looked at the future prices graph on the very first slide. This shows you the black line, which is how you're priced, and then the gray, pink, and light pink, like I said, how the market's priced. And we've also recently added, by the way, this like pink kind of lines, which tells you what holiday is it on that day, right? Uh, Here and the top, you can see the bedroom count that you're typically comparing against. Typically in PriceLabs, if you're a 3 bedroom, you'd see us compare you against 2 to 4 bedroom together, because we want to compare plus minus 1 bedroom, right? But just for the sake of it, I'm just looking at 3 bedrooms. And what you can then do is I can very quickly look at a bird's eye view and say, I don't just want to look at the 6 month of the calendar. I actually want to look at a 1 year calendar, and give it a second to load. And what that gives you is it gives you a quick bird's eye view, and you'd see this Eiffel Tower kind of a graph here,
Right.
right? Like right in December, it's just like just New Year's. This is a Dubai property, by the way. If you scroll up on the top right of your screens, you should typically see what the bedroom count is and what city it is, right? So this is a Dubai property, and it just like gets really booked up during that New Year mark, right? And so you can quickly see, hey, there are certain times of the year where we don't anticipate the market to be really hot, but then there are certain times like New Year's where we just expect the market to be hot. And then here we're generally pricing, it's summer, probably not a very great time to be in Dubai, right?
Right.
We're pricing it generally low, versus towards this end of year season starts to become a little bit better, and you're seeing us price a little bit higher here, right? And then just like pre holiday weeks, the occupancy tends to drop, so your prices are a little bit lower. But you can very quickly see, this is the Dubai market. You can imagine any other market, right? And you can quickly see how you're priced throughout the year, rather than if you were used to a static flat pricing or some seasonal pricing. You can see how that really compares. I can also, like, if I can also say, by the way, if you click on any of those lines start to go away. So if I
Yeah,
click on
and that's helpful for sure.
this, and this, it helps clear out the graph a little bit, and helps with understanding. What I will do is, let me bring back the final prices here again, right? So that was the black line that you saw, right? That's how you're priced. If you also have this, if you're new to PriceLabs, you'll see this last scene. Like, if you're new to PriceLabs, you'll actually see, if you click this drop down, you'd see another thing that says prices before PriceLabs. If you're less than a couple of months old at PriceLabs, but I don't have that line here. But so I'm going to introduce just this last seen price line here, and it mostly matches except for this New Year's. I used to have a maximum price of 600. I removed that, and so now you'd see my prices have changed from that last seen price of 600 to now it's like really shooting up to 800, 840, etc., etc. This graph quickly allows you to understand what's happening with a bird's eye view. But a lot of the information that gets calculated on this graph actually comes from the graph right below, which is our occupancy graph. Now, what's happening here is you're being able to see how much the occupancy is for any given day in this market, right? And market being the three bedrooms that I'm looking at, right? And
Mhm.
market being the three bedrooms that I'm looking at. And right now I'm just looking at 33 bedrooms for this market, right? So I can see what the occupancy is from here. Now, I'd shown you competitor map. If you see this competitor map, and if I click show map, you'd see your property, and you'd see a dot of all the other Airbnb properties around you that we are
Yes.
tracking.
Yep.
Um, all right, something's off with my laptop. Um, okay.
There
So
we go.
this, oh, for some reason. Okay. Um, what you're seeing is, hey, this is where the black dot is where I understand, based on the property that you've brought into PriceLabs, where the property is located. And then all around me, I can see these are all the other properties that PriceLabs is looking at, right? When trying to figure out the graphs that we just saw above, right? And what you'd also see is, hey, the red color is 600. So all of these dots that I see, on average, they're priced around 600, right, or higher. And then the green color is about 100. So all of the green colors that you see, you'd see them here, right? Now, a lot of you already have some properties that you're already thinking about, right? You know, hey, in my building, there are three other homes,
Right.
or in my neighborhood, there are these four other right across my block, and etc., etc. If you know those, great, right? You can always, of course, zoom into this and be like, oh, while PriceLabs is saying this, my actual Airbnb property might be this, right? So, but I know some of these that I know by names, right? Because you, like, oh, I know, like, this property by name, or etc. I know, oh, Blue Ground, I know this property, or I know that property, right?
Right.
Uh, you can click on this, and it'll take you to the Airbnb calendar itself for this property.
Okay.
Um, but say I know these, and I want to look at their prices, I can come here right below on the graph, right, where it says compare competitor calendar, and I'm going to pick some. Let's say I'm going to pick Blue Ground, and I'm going to actually look at a bunch of Blue Ground properties, right?
There we go. That makes it easier.
I'm going to pick this. I'm going to also go Blue Ground and see. Okay, I'm going to see this one as well. And let's say I have these three, right? And I've selected them. And you have to do this once. Once you've selected them, they exist in this compare competitor calendar. And then if I do update data, although Blue Ground may not be the right properties to pick, because Blue Ground is more a midterm provider. But what you start to see is their prices that we see on Airbnb come up here.
Okay.
So give it a second. Today my laptop's really learning slow, so apologies for that.
No, you're good.
not sure what's happening. Yeah, so okay, so thank God. So what you can see, and which I said, this blue ground may not be the right one to pick up because they generally have this flat kind of pricing structure. But let me not change that for now, right? And you can see, hey, this is how in PriceLabs your property is priced today. And these properties, and you can see when was the last time we got price, right? So the price last refreshed, but you can very quickly see how that other property is priced, right? Now, once you've done this, it is saved. You don't have to do this again. So there is one-time effort of yes, building. Hey, I want to track these prices. Note that it does not change your dynamic pricing. It is for you to be able to see or visualize how you're priced, right? So you can very quickly see how your competitors priced compared to how you're priced, and that allows you to sometimes be able to go in and say, I want to change something, or I want to evaluate or redo something. But this in full helps you understand how your competitors are priced. You start with this overall view to understand, hey, how am I priced relative to competitors? There are certain dates that are just high demand. If I want to see why this date is high demand, I come into the occupancy graph and I look at how am I doing current year, how am I doing compared to last year, and then what was the final occupancy last year. If I want to really drill down and look at a couple of my competitors, I come to competitor map and I see, all right, who are my competitors? I put my mouse around. If I don't already know some of the names, right? If I already know some of the names, I'll come in to the compared calendar, pull them so that I can also see how they're priced, right? Now, you don't need to do this every day. You may want to do this once a month just to be sure everything's trending in the right direction, right? Or every couple of weeks, depending on your personal preferences, right? Know that PriceLabs is working in the background to figure out your prices every day, regardless, right? But this just helps you understand why prices are moving in one direction or not, or the other.
I think just to make this applicable to really what you said there, Richie, you don't need to be doing this every single day. However, I do really like looking at the competitor calendar, not the calendar, sorry, the neighborhood data at the top. So going up to the top there, I like looking at this right here the most. This helps me understand where I'm at. And if I'm overbooked, then typically, right, my black line right there is going to be too low. It's going to be kind of hovering towards the 25 to 50th percentile. If I'm not occupied enough, I'm typically overpriced, and it'll show me that right there. And then, like you said, if I'm like, well, that still doesn't give me all the answers I'm looking for. What does the occupancy look like for these properties? What does the competitor calendar look like for these properties? Then I can dive deeper as I go down. So that just simplifies it a little bit for everyone to make things a little bit more manageable, because yeah, I mean, this can be overwhelming, but the good news is that unless you really are struggling with one listing or a couple listings, you don't need to be doing this all the time.
Exactly. And yeah, completely agree. And I know all of these graphs are overwhelming. Just want to drop a nugget here that we're coming up with something that will make it easier for you to understand these graphs soon.
Okay. I can't wait to see that. Guys, once again, the fearlessinvestors.co/PriceLabs, and you can get a free 30-day trial, or I'll throw a little curveball for you, the fearlessinvestors.co/6FF. If you're not in the six-figure formula, you're missing out on a discount with PriceLabs and about 8 or 9 other partners. With PriceLabs alone, 25% discount for your first 10 listings in the first year, which means that if you're in the six-figure formula and you're paying $50 a month and you have 5 or 6 listings, it's basically canceling out your education along with your opportunity to be able to get a discount on PriceLabs. So go check that out, thefearlessinvestors.co/6FF. We're doing this every single month with Richie. Make sure you go check out all of our previous episodes as well. But until next time, Richie, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, Kyle.